me take the time to say a special good morning to listeners and viewers of Classic Radio and GBN TV. Hope you had a wonderful weekend and looking forward towards a productive week ahead of us. It's Monday, the 19th day of May, 2025. Good morning to one and all once again. Especially those of you of our social media platforms. Good morning. YouTube channel, Facebook page. You folks with us already. Good morning and certainly happy to have you with us. Usually Mr. Sylvan McIntyre is here with me. Well, usually he's here with me on a Monday, but he's not here as yet. Running a wee bit late, so he sends his apology for being late. All right? But certainly he will come around maybe within the next couple of minutes. So in the instance of getting things started off, folks, we're probably going to encourage you, listeners and viewers, if you, of course, want to chime in on any issue that you may want to speak about as we await Mr. McIntyre. Our focus conversation this morning was going to be on the hurricane preparedness, because you know the season has not officially started as yet, usually the month of June. But of course, we've seen signs of how things are looking already. So, of course, maybe you want to chime in on that or any other issue just in the interim until Mr. McIntyre joins us. It's To The Point, Classic Radio GBN TV. I'm already see we have our first caller. Let me get that line all cleared up, and then we'll entertain the callers. 435-2041, 435-2041. That's a number if you want to be part of To The Point this morning. Lines are now opened and ready to go, folks. Drivers on the nation roads, good morning. Hope all is well with you. Of course, looking for other road users as you move along on the roads this morning. Let's go to the phone line. Caller, you're live. Good morning and welcome.
Yeah, good morning, GT, and good morning to your listeners and the viewers. Good to get the opportunity to say a few words. One of the things I want to mention is to do with the approach we take to development in this country. We tend to think that buildings and major structures are a sign, and I'm talking collectively now, not just from a government point of view, that this is the way to go. So we don't mind plundering, cutting down trees, clearing hills, not realizing that the hills play a role in the kind of environment we have. So if we don't educate ourselves to understand that we are stewards, and we do not have that prerogative to just go and decide we will destroy this hill or this mangroves or that, to put something that we are told would create employment and foreign exchange and all this nonsense, but that we learn to live within the ambit of nature, within the context of the limitation nature placed on us, and we need to understand the symbiosis relationship that we have with life. I mean, people complain that it's getting hotter and hotter, and yet, to me, they're mindless. Sorry for that. The way they do things. And I understand at some level, but sometimes it's very frustrating. No, you can't give what you don't have. And because for the most part, we have been miseducated, wrongly instructed, and then, left to be confused, as Bob Marley says, mix of mood and attitude. And of course, they say we only know what they tell us. But we need to really move beyond that. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is to recognize, I think, today is the birthday of Malcolm X. I remember in 1983, I held a function in honor of Malcolm X at the then Glen Center. Also recognized it was also the day, a day significant with Ho Chi Minh, and I think Marcus Garvey. I'm a bit, my faculties is challenging me now. But anyway, I remember that it came back to me, and we had a very good session. And unfortunately, over the years, we have not really make use of the fact that this great man, who have still continued to influence lots of people throughout the world, we do not embrace him as one of our own, particularly as his mother came from Ladig. And his mother was a strong supporter of Marcus Garvey. And hence, you have her son, Malcolm, having that impact on the world. I mean, of course, he had some challenges in his early life, but at the same time, sometimes all things that the scriptures say work for good. So we need to celebrate. Young people need to know who's Malcolm X. They need to know. They don't need to know who is his mother. And we have not done justice there. And finally, I want to appreciate the Voice newspaper and the Informer newspaper for finally carrying an article, or in the case of the Informer, an editorial on Burkina Faso. I mean, we need to educate our people, not just take what CNN and the BBC and all these garbage entities feed on us. A lot of things is happening in Africa, and we need to be inspired by those things. They are good things, not negative things. We need to inspire people, encourage them to buy an next shirt, an next this, an next burger, something like that. That is going to make them more sick than ever. Thank you very much, GT.
Thank you so much, sir. Have a great morning yourself, and what's left for the rest of the day today. 435-2041. We still have some time to entertain a couple of your phone calls till Mr. Of course, McIntyre gets here. And of course, we get into the meat of our conversation once time permits for us to do so. 435-2041. Let's go through, folks, especially those of you out there in the diaspora. How are you this morning? Hope all is well. I know other parts of the Caribbean experienced some weather conditions, especially of course, neighboring island of Trinidad and Tobago. They had some weather condition earlier up in the week. Island, of course, the island of St. Kitts and so forth, they had some weather conditions up there that was of some concern. We was expecting something of that nature, but we didn't have anything of that magnitude, as of course, I was predicted. 435-2041, the lines are opened, and I think I didn't have that line cleared. If he was trying to get you, my apology for that. 435-2041. We also have the WhatsApp. If you, of course, wish to call via that particular medium, feel free to do so also. The lines are now open to you. Once again, caller, good morning, and you're live.
Hello.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, the guy who spoke about Malcolm X, does we must celebrate that about Malcolm X? Right? Mm-hmm. Do we have to celebrate it? We celebrated Thanksgiving Day, right? Why we should forget with Thanksgiving and deal with Malcolm X? No, Thanksgiving had nothing to do with we. Malcolm more had to deal with me. But we hello?
Caller, you're live. Go right ahead, please.
We're not supposed to be celebrating Thanksgiving Day. Not at all, because Thanksgiving Day is not our business. We only celebrating it because we're stooging behind the American and them for killing out the Indian. They kill over 200 million. In them time, they didn't have them thing they make and call about crime against humanity. They kill over 200 million Indians to take over America, and now we're hugging them up, man. Man, we have to stop at that.
All right, caller. Thank you for your contribution this morning. We do have another caller via the WhatsApp. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning, you're live.
Hey, GT, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. How you doing? How was your weekend, man?
Hey, not too bad at all, enough. Not too bad. Okay, we had good weather up here, so then, I can't complain now.
All right, great.
GT, I'm not calling about any politics today. I just want to call about something that we should celebrate.
If it's one of those mornings you make me feel happy, that's a good feeling.
Really?
I just played around with you, man. Go right ahead. Let's hear from you this morning.
I know. Okay, yesterday, all right. Okay, we had a Grenadian from Montreal St. Patrick. Mm-hmm. All right, and he celebrated 105 years.
All right, great. Happy birthday.
All the best. And I want to reach another 105 again.
All right. And these days and time, it's not always that possible, but
because when we have people that reach that far, you understand, we should really recommend them and give them flowers right now.
So true.
All right. Okay, GT, so you have a blessed day.
You too, man. All the best, and have a good day yourself. Take it easy.
No politics. It's just something to celebrate.
All right, great, man. Great. 435-2041. We're moving down to 14 minutes after the 9 o'clock hour this morning. Mr. Sylvan McIntyre, of course, sends his apology for being a bit late this morning, but he's certainly going to be here, hopefully within the second segment of the day's program. We go back to the phone line. Caller, you're live. Good morning, and you're welcome.
Morning, GT.
How are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm not doing so great because I'm very concerned about the health and wealth of the country. I feel like the powers that be, the government, should speed up the monies that are coming from oil, gas.
But let me ask you. You said you're concerned about the health and so forth. What about health in Grenada that raised that concern that you have, sir?
Well, I'm trying to explain to you right now. They should speed up and don't wait for the next election. The powers that be should speed up the wealth of the oil and gas, the minerals around the island, raise the salary of the health workers across the board, because it'll be a while. We can't wait 5 years for a new hospital. Yes, that's going to happen. In the meantime, people are dying and suffering. So raise the powers that be should bring all these people, the brain drain of the health industry, back to Grenada, because we are suffering daily, and raise the funds and the payment, so the incentive for them to come back and help us Grenadians. We're suffering poorly in the health service. And
okay.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much. Still doesn't tell me his major concern though, but he did make some points there. 435-2041, 435-2041. The lines are open to you. Of course, pretty sure we take our first break shortly, and certainly give you more opportunities to calling in. Let's hear from you this morning. 435-2041, 435-2041. The lines are open. We have an open line until Mr. McIntyre comes here. Of course, our focus conversation this one would have been on our continuing aspects of hurricane preparedness. And, as I mentioned in my opening, the official opening of the hurricane season starts in the month of June, and we've been seeing the signs of how things are changing in terms of these whole systems are out there now before the actual season, of course, even opens. So we will be talking a whole lot about that when he comes in just in a couple of minutes from now. Hey, folks, let's take our first break in this segment. When we come back, the lines will be open once again, and we could, of course, entertain more of your calls with your contributions here on today's program. We'll be right back after the break. Let's take the break. Someone is calling, but already was going to take that break, so during the next segment, caller, you may have the opportunity to call in then. Let's take that break. We're coming right back.
Whether you're a culinary expert like me, okay, I'm joking, I'm not an expert, I'm a novice, or a novice like me, we have the products for you to assist you on your culinary journey. Let us start with the seasoning. This is the foundation. This is where you start. So we have our small sachets here. As you can see, we have chicken, we have fish, we have all-purpose, we have to flavor the pot. Various sizes. We have the shakers here in 125 gram as well in the same flavors. And if you want a larger format, we have it in the 200 gram. Remember, these things will be available at the GBN Maggie King of the Grill, and they're also available at your favorite store or supermarket nationwide.
Get ready, Grenada. The Maggie King of the Grill is back and bigger than ever. On Saturday, June 7th, Monroe's playing field transforms into the ultimate battleground for grill masters. Think you got what it takes? Then fire up those grills and show your skills. Registration closes Friday, April the 11th, so don't miss your chance to compete for that sizzling prize and bragging rights. It's food, fun, and flavor, all powered by Maggie. To register, call 407-8458. Maggie King of the Grill, where flavor rules. See you there. Heritage Theatre presents Breaking Out, the Grenada Love Story, featuring Robert White and Lisa Grappi, written and directed by Chris DeRiggs.
But I still love you, Richie.
You love me and you're hard me.
with 4 big performances Saturday 24th and Sunday 25th May at the Grenada Trade Center, Saturday 31st May and Sunday 1st June at the Luke Cinema in Grenville. Showtime 7 p.m. sharp.
He's the love of my life, Auntie. You have to marry a man for other things besides love, child.
Get your tickets at Mitchell's Pharmacy in Grandance, Gittins Health and Wellness Wall Street, Gabriel's Pharmacy Pedmata, St. David Pharmacy, St. Andrew Pharmacy, Art and Soul Boutique at Spiceland Mall, 3B's Shoe Store, and GoToFed.com. Breaking out. Come out and enjoy Grenadian theater at its best.
This ad complements Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to the Point Classic Radio GBN TV. We have a bit of an open line segment for now until, of course, we are joined by Mr. Sylvan McIntyre, who suddenly co-hosted me on a Monday. We're running a bit late this morning, so, of course, just had to do an open line segment so we could, of course, hear from you, our listeners and the viewers. Let's go to the phone line. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, GT, and good morning to all your listeners.
Good morning to you.
I just want to share my observation, yes, from listening to your Monday's program with Dr. Dix and the Lights.
Yes.
I am wondering why we sometimes seem to be working in isolation. You know? Mm-hmm. Yes.
So your reasons for that, let's hear.
Right. Because the lights are affecting trees from bearing and all that, yeah. But if enough people would request a light will be put there.
I agree. Yes.
Without discussing it now with the other ministries and so, the Ministry of Health, as Dr. Dick said, and the Ministry of Agriculture to find out if it's the ideal spot for that light. Once enough people would be calling on programs and making that request, a light will be put there. Okay. Another example, the humps in the road. Right. You would hear people calling for a hump, calling to put a hump. Take Dusty Highway, for example. So then humps were there. Lo and behold, the humps were removed. And then you're hearing the humps were damaging people's vehicles. So the question is, again, don't we have a standard way of building homes? Why only those there that were damaging people's vehicles? Yeah? So that's another example. My third example is the croton beetle. We were advised by Ministry of Agriculture that we should not be planting the croton plants anymore. But people are still planting them. People are still planting the croton, you know? So I'm just observing how working in isolation, we kind of getting insular, and it's not doing us good. It is wasting, I'm not saying taxpayers' money, it is wasting our money, yeah? Because it was painful for me to see they put up the homes in Dusty Highway and then they had to remove it. All that material now went to waste. So my prayer is that they work together. Discuss plans so that we will not have that kind of way of, of working in isolation that is doing damage and wasting infrastructure, wasting money. Okay?
Yeah, right. Certainly understand where you're coming from, caller, and certainly caller made a whole lot of sense there, because sometimes things get done, and of course maybe just a handful of individuals may have sent out the requests, and of course to whoever they may have contacted in reference to that, it gets taken care of, and then the vast majority disapproves of it, and then an issue develops there. Let's take another caller. Mr. McIntyre is with us. He's going to be joining us shortly. Caller, you're live. Go right ahead, please.
Jay, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, this morning somebody called and say ripe bananas are $6.50 a pound, and they were mad and upset. And sometimes I understand they ripe, but I hope they know that the farmers are not benefiting from that price. The vendor would go to the farmers and buy produce at a low price, then come on the market and sell it at a high price because they're in control. Now, by selling by a high price, it creates a bottleneck in the farmer's neck because the farmers expect their goods to leave the farm at a pace when they have it, because basically if you have things ripening on you, you need to get it sell at a certain pace. But the vendor create that bottleneck because they go and sell it for so much a high price that they can't go back on the farm and buy as regular as they should. So what the farmers have go to waste. So the farmers lose. So it doesn't help the farmer sometimes when you have the higher price. That's where marketing board came in and was able to help the farmer to get rid of all his stuff from his farm, and the government was subsidizing that in a sense.
All right.
Now, here what we have now. We have what you call people eating chicken and chips, not eating the vegetables. They go be sick in a few. The government got to take care of them. So we need to go back to that point where we can get our vegetables from the farmers at a low price, so our people can eat healthy, and our nation can grow in a proper way.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Folks, just want to let you know, Mr. Sylvan McIntyre is here with us. I'm going to let him just join me just like that, you know. It's what you call live TV. So he's just going to pick on me this morning and grab his seat, as we would say. Good morning to you, sir. How you doing?
Good morning to you, GT, and a profound apology again to our listeners, viewers, followers, etc.
I hope you don't get reprimanded for being late for class this morning.
You will reprimanded? I will take it because it's justified. If I still have prepared to pay for it.
All right. Well, since you're on that level, it's all good to go.
Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good to go. So, what's the weekend? The
weekend was great. It was a lot of work. I think the bigger of the things was the participation at the Invitational.
Yes.
And communal Invitational. I mean, that was the flowers we were going to give this morning. The initiative was great in terms of bringing people together and giving some more exposure to our athletes.
Yes, that was good. I heard some, of course, the response from it was good. The turnout was great. The feedback was awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't get to attend, but, speaking to individuals who've been there, and, they told me about it, and it was good.
That's good flowers, because some of the athletes that participate in Carifta and those others follow up, and the Whitsunday is coming up. It really gave a lot of the scouting for talent people, coaches, etc., to be able to see those guys and how consistent they are.
Get the opportunity to see individuals who have those talents, the opportunity to expose it more. Because not everybody will get a chance to be in Carifta games. Not everybody get a chance to even participate in their school games. But sometimes these individuals have these talents out there.
Right.
You understand? Sometimes the qualification part of it doesn't come for them at the time.
Exactly. And so it gives them the opportunity with more exposure to be able to access scholarship for higher learning, etc., and to be exposed. So it's all a win-win. And the other aspect of it was giving the informal sectors who are not consistently athletic, some means, and those people who are leaving school, colleges, and they are good in some way, giving them an incentive to keep fit, because they know that there is an annual event where they can still go and showcase their talent, the thing that they love so much. I think that's commendable.
And that's something going to be an annual gesture?
Yes, it will be annual. And it's going to incorporate aspects of the region where classic lighting and so on has. So it's a pilot event. I think it all speak well for Grenada, to be honest.
Great. So
and in addition to the flowers, though, you remember on last week program we spoke about that vehicle on the road?
In the
Mongay area. Before the program was finished, I think, or later during the course of the day, I passed up the shot that the vehicle was removed.
Well, that's good. So
we did see within a matter of days it was going to be removed, and it was. I mean, we have to give commendation either to the RGPF who was responsible.
I traversed the area, but somehow I didn't pay attention.
They took it off because the same day I drove.
I didn't pay attention.
It was gone.
Well, that's good to hear.
They're working with us for sure. And then the other area, I think, the Dusty Highway. We spoke of that green, I think, 40-foot container that was hanging there for quite a bit, creating a bit of obstruction on the way and scare to some people, and the skip that is beyond there from the yachts, and so they're filling it right on the road. We did speak about that. The container is removed, but they still continue to fill that skid right on the road. As it cuts on the road space.
Yes.
I know that's a real alternative to the Morris Bishop Highway where people would use, and so when you have to in and out with those big trucks and so on, it's still something. What I also saw,
the owner of it will put some consideration and have it moved.
Have it removed.
Yes.
Placed on the side further. Take it off the regular motorway. And the other thing, I think I saw there was an effort to remove some of those derelict or those vehicles waiting to be fixed by the mechanics on that highway, on that strip of road, the Dusty, close to the Concord.
Okay.
And those containers on the tanks filled with used oil, spilling over into the street and into the environment on the opposite side of the road, into the shrubbery. I think some of it were removed, and we're looking to see all of it. I really wish that health and the environment and even law enforcement, they can really step into this area and regulate it. The people who have, they have to eat the food with the garages, etc., but they need to find places and just take enough vehicles are sufficient that they can repair in an enclosed area of the motorway. They can deal with it. And the dumping and so on with fuel and so on. I know there are places where you can get the fuel to be even recycled, and there are places that health and solid waste have designated for you to take your fuel. They need
Is it
to
that they're
find
not
it.
making the effort to get it disposed of properly? Is it that that individual who was storing it or whatever? Is it that they are not making the effort to get it disposed of properly? Is it that the case?
I think it speaks a lot about, as we maintain our enforcement processes, how well we enforce our laws. Because there are laws for these things, to be honest. And it doesn't have to, and law enforcement is not only police. We have health enforcement, we have customs enforcement, we have prison and custodial enforcement people, we have environmental wardens and all the traffic wardens. All these people are law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
And so we should be able to collectively look into that and let us care a bit more for ourselves and our environment, because if we leave this thing leaching into our streets, into our waterways, etc., into the environment, we are destroying the future. The trees and so on will suffer. That fuel will leak into our mangrove, that some of it have already been destroyed. And our mangrove, we know how critical it is for our marine life. Our fish and so on, the fries and so that come up, and the fish that come to put the young one, the other, and lay and whatever out in those areas, they are going to be affected. And so when it seems as though it's just a convenient place for somebody who's doing some work or otherwise to put their stuff, but the long-term effect of it, they may not be aware of it. So the authority that they have responsibility for it and they know what it's going to cause must ensure that these people are made aware, that they are warned of, and subsequent penalties should be awarded to them if they fail to do that.
I agree with that. Sometimes you wonder if people are aware that they're causing an obstruction.
Yeah.
Am I doing something that is obstructing others? Or if they know or they just don't care for some reason. They just don't care. I want to ask you something from our last caller that came in, and I just want to get your feedback at it. Of course, the caller talked about, it goes back to when we had Dr. Alex with us last Monday, and he spoke about the lights, and she was saying, maybe a handful of individuals in an area may ask for a light. The handful of individuals in a particular area may ask for a hump to put in the road. But we're not thinking about the pros and cons of it now after we've been asked for it. Know that you asked for the light, it's been put there.
Yes.
But then the effect it's causing now.
Yes.
Because 10 people may have asked for it.
Right.
That's just for example's sake. No, 150 people has been affected from it.
Yeah.
I just want to get your take, how you feel about that. Is it that the fact of the lack of it's a word that we hear all the time, consultation.
Yeah.
Is it that they're not, whoever is responsible for putting whatever, the light or the hump, are they not getting that adequate feedback that is it right, or they have not thought it through?
Yeah. Well,
is it really necessary or positioning and all of these things that need to be put in place in terms of that?
Yeah, I think it's widely established and identified that there are some things that happen, and some of them happen on impulse and not sufficient environmental impact goes into it, what you call the EIAs and so forth. Whenever something is going to be established, built, or so forth, you have a developmental process undertaken. You do what the environmental impact is, and your environment consists of everything, including people. Yeah. And so, yes, consultation is one other way you look at it, where you engage people, you engage the community, and ask what they think about it, what could be there. But these persons who are coming to a consultant may not necessarily be the ones with the technical knowledge. So there has to be an effort for the technical people associated to various entities and initiatives. They are the experts in the matter. We have to ensure whatever we're doing, that we find who are the experts in those areas.
Because there's always that long-term effect.
Yes, the contribution.
The long-term effect.
If you going to do a business, there's what you call a feasibility study. You don't want to just go and open a business because one or two persons ask you for ripe bananas. And they ask you for ripe bananas, and just the three of them. Are you going to be able to sustain a business? You build a whole shop to give people 5 persons banana.
To sell for 5 persons.
Would that be sufficient? The feasibility of it doesn't really match up. So you may say, I would prefer to just deliver those persons who want the banana, just give them personal delivery rather than setting up a shop. That would, so that's the kind of a consideration that has to be undertaken when we are establishing things. I hear people speak about consultation. Yes, that's a strong thing, but consultation in itself may have different objectives. But at consultations, if you have them, you must ensure that experts are involved. And outside of not having consultations, there's a win-win situation. Always ensure that whatever initiative, that you have the feedback from the experts, but most importantly, the people who are likely to be affected or benefit from it, you must get their buy-in. Yes, because a lot of times, sometimes we engage the experts, and the experts, they don't always retain the knowledge, the local knowledge. And so you come as an engineer,
may not be living in that
and you speak about putting that drain right here, and that's good. But the history of that area would have said to you that in the past there was a drain that was in an opposite direction and the people backfill it. So naturally, when you have an excess amount of water, it's going to go back to its natural course. And that place where you build that house is going to take it away. It's going to come through. Yeah. Like I understand, there was a building that was set up not too far from us. Mm-hmm. And that area where that building was set up, there was a water course in that area and dumping took place there. So it came straight to my head. Yeah. Liquefaction will occur. Because naturally, if you have the outflow from the hills and coming from different places, it's going to flow into a particular runoff, a tributary or a valley area. Yeah. And if you backfill it and make it really look nice, and somebody decide, okay, it's cool now, 20 years passed, let me just build a house there. And for 20 years, we did not have that weather pattern. It shows up now, what do you think going to happen?
You're going to have some movement.
You're going to have some movement taking place, and damage and destruction will occur. We
drew for a break. Let's take it. We come back, we get back into our substantive conversation this morning. Stay with us, folks, to the point. Classic Radio, GBN TV. We will be right back after the break.
Attention.
GBN presents the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, Saturday, June 7th, Montrouge Plainfield from 11 a.m. Our partners, Maggie, the secret of great flavor, Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Clark's Court, Grenada's #1 rum, Grenada Paper Products, makers of Cherish, Spring Soft, Harbour Bay, and Super Value Toilet Paper, and Royal, Quick and Easy, and Horizon Paper Towels, Budget Foods Inc., Classic Lighting, and Blue Bubbles PA Rental and Event Supplies. It's the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, where flavor rules.
Something to share?
Call us at 440-1252.
WhatsApp 405-3052 or 407-8458.
Or email gbnnews@gbn.gd.
GBN News, first, accurate, voted #1.
Welcome back to our listeners. Welcome back to our viewers. And of course, Mr. Sylvan McIntyre with us this morning. Of course, we have approximately just around 25 minutes or so left on today's program. Just give us adequate time to get into the conversation we want to dive into this morning. We want to talk about, of course, the aspect of hurricane preparedness. And I mentioned in my intro this morning, just in a couple of weeks from now, the hurricane season is going to start. Officially start. We have already seen, changes in the weather pattern a bit earlier than usual.
Correct.
A bit earlier than usual. We have this weekend, we saw islands like Trinidad and so forth. They experienced a lot of rain and so forth. We were predicted to have some rain here. We didn't get it to the magnitude as was predicted.
Yes.
Hurricane preparedness. How is it that folks could get that particular thought pattern moving in their minds, sir?
Yeah.
They experienced some burial, go all the way back to, Hurricane Ivan, Hurricane Emily.
Yeah.
And a lot of us was caught off guard because we always think, God is living in Grenada 100%.
Yeah.
Not that he isn't, but...
but he has multiple citizens.
He has multiple places to go, you understand? So sometimes he slips off a little bit and returns. But we hope to get to know ourselves, that mental preparedness is always important.
Yeah.
Prepare your mind mentally, and all the other aspects of things will always come into play.
Yeah.
Let's get into that conversation this morning.
Well, GT, I think you just hit it right, exactly the angle from which I was going to take it. We started this conversation a couple of weeks ago in terms of pre-hurricane season readiness, and I think maybe we probably want to rename that rather than hurricanes, because people tend to believe hurricanes. They generally, when you have storms and hurricanes, they are tropical cyclones.
Yes.
And they are tropical because they do obviously happen in the tropics. And they spin clockwise, so they're cyclonic, meaning that they spin. So that's why they're all called tropical cyclones. And so maybe they should name it the cyclone season rather than just hurricane season. Because
you have a point.
Tropical storms, tropical waves, and tropical depressions,
you have a point there.
They're all tropical, and they do create some problem.
Yeah.
So maybe we could revisit that as time change. We have traditions that we always keep, and they don't have the same meaning, impact, and impression throughout. So maybe we
get the impression that the same monotonous ways have been said to you. It's recurring all the time.
You just keep repeating it. And people tend to believe that it's only hurricane because hurricane season, that if you don't have a hurricane, that we don't have a big problem.
Okay.
But I want to help people to recalibrate, refocus on the things that happen during that perceived season. And maybe we want to expand a little bit on that tropical cyclonic season that happens before June.
Yeah.
And so we could generally create, I think the systems of the Caribbean was trying to say, let's look at comprehensive disaster management. But now we had to just let us say about comprehensive preparedness throughout, because climate change, whether you believe in it or not, it's here. You can't avoid it. The things that happen around it, we just can't prevent them. But we can mitigate them, or we can predict or forecast what they're likely to cause. And so looking at the forecast for 2025 hurricane season, so-called, it's still like an average, but likely to be an above average season. Meaning, usually the average is about 13 or 14 systems coming through, or sometimes up to 17. This year, the preliminary forecast is for 17 systems to come through.
Yes.
9 of which are likely to become hurricanes, and 4 to become major hurricanes. And we speak about major hurricanes from wind speed up to 110 miles per hour, up to 155 miles per hour. Those are major category hurricanes. And Grenada has seen major hurricanes in its time. All of the hurricanes basically have been major hurricanes that have impacted Grenada. Hurricane Ivan was major, we had Ivan was a category 3, Emily was a category 2, Beryl was a category 4.
Yeah.
And so to some extent, the 4 may have given 5 impact, and the 3 was strong 3, so you may have had 4 impact. And I maintain that the level of destruction that one can experience doesn't necessarily have to be the strength of the hurricane itself. It has to do a lot in terms of how we are ready psychologically, and the aspect that you mentioned about mental readiness, the amount of impact that can have. The wind could be as strong as it wants or as weak as it wants. If your mental status is not prepared to receive it, you will feel as though a ton of brick, a whole big thing beat you up, even if you have a little bit of wind.
Can't get anything done
coming through
when the actual process is taking place.
Yes. So it is very, very, very important that we stay on the game, and this is why we maintain throughout our program we don't want to overload any aspect of the information process. We want people to soak in a little bit. So that's why I think this is the third time in the month of May that we speak about pre-hurricane readiness. Last week we touched a little bit on it, despite we had a bit of the traffic safety and so forth. But this week, again, I said, let me touch on the hurricane readiness because it is getting closer to the 1st of July.
Yes.
Information from out of Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
Yeah.
Word on the ground is that people are becoming very antsy. They're feeling the breeze. And as soon as they hear about the rain and the wind, they're saying, I'm wondering if we are going to get another hurricane this season.
Yeah.
And we look at it and we ask, where are we on the ground? What's the structure of informing people and giving them the reassurance of a system that will take care of them? In other words, I'm speaking about what's the standard of the shelters. People are still on the tarpaulins. People are building back, and we spoke about it on the program the last time. They are putting back things hurriedly together and may not be quite safe.
Just want somewhere to live, you understand?
It may not be quite safe.
Not adequate, yeah.
And not adequate. So some good things might be happening and a lot of incorrect things, I'm not saying bad, might be happening. So if there's a system and a structure, we want it to be amplified a bit more. We want people to hear about it more. We want it to be able to hit the areas, formal and informal. We want it to go on social media and other places. Just like when you have a function, people tell you, man, I see this thing trending across Facebook and what the things we have in place that are good.
Get preparedness trending.
Get it trending.
That's a good tagline name, sir.
Yeah, yes, get preparedness trending. You could write that down and keep it. We could beat that on the program, so that people could understand that these things will happen or they may not happen.
Yeah.
But they would get the information. So we should put the information on Go to Fet as well, because Go to Fet is one of the platforms everybody go to find a ticket for someplace.
Or you go to Party Grenada.
Or you go to Party Grenada, and when they pull up on Party Grenada, they go see Party Preparedness.
Preparedness trending. Or preparedness.
Because you may go to a party and something may happen. Exactly. It may not necessarily be a hurricane or otherwise, but some aspect of it. What process of preparedness did you employ for that? But I want to just kind of summarize as we're going to expand a little bit more on the hurricane preparedness for 2025. Today, I just want to put on the table the aspect of the psychosocial readiness. Every time you hear me come on, we're going to speak about it. I met one of my good friends at a social event, Dr. Needles Chaitan, I think it was.
Okay.
And he's a community-oriented person. And we were having a conversation as well. And just coincidentally, the aspect of Carriacou and Petit Martinique came up in terms of the readiness and the feel on the ground. We may have the state formal system going through, but we need more people. If we need to train people, we should create a community training process of psychosocial support.
Yeah.
We have the people who've gone to the institutions of learning and they're well qualified and versed in dealing with those situations across. But can we create like a hybrid or a swift movement of preparing some other people, including the youth, to find some skill set and some information that they need to be able to give? Create a little brochure, a little pamphlet, a little information document, step by step. When you come across people with some things, they're saying certain things in certain ways, they speak in certain ways, they act in certain ways. Some words and some actions you can give to them to help them to cope and deal with the situation.
So, McIntyre, there are lots of ways of dispersing information in this day and time. Mm-hmm. No longer we have to wait until it's said on a radio only, or maybe view it via the television.
Yeah.
As you said, the social media aspects.
Yeah.
There are mobile companies in Grenada who we could have them send those mass or bulk text messages to people, to individuals.
Yeah.
Not to create panic or anything of the sort.
Right.
But to get their mindset thrown in the direction, hey, the season is approaching.
Yes.
Have you prepared this?
Yeah.
There are folks in authority responsible for that. They should have this campaign kicked into high gear already, in my opinion.
Right.
Kick into high gear where folks are receiving those information. Sometimes simple things that may have slipped you get that message saying, hey, I should have gotten a little panacrix and,
Yes, of course.
These information, as simple as it may be, will create a level of preparedness for an individual.
Yes.
Have I checked my roof? Do I have to contact somebody to check my roof? I haven't checked it for maybe Grenada, the main that didn't get the bulk of the destruction last year in Hurricane Beryl, but maybe June Beryl there were winds. You understand? In certain areas, your roof may have moved a little bit, but you maybe didn't pay attention to it because nothing significant happened.
Right.
Should I have someone look at it for me now?
Right.
You understand? And I qualified in first, not just a neighbor go and look at my roof for me. You understand?
Right.
And things of that nature. Because information could be disbursed if we want to get it going out there.
Great. And we create this wider expectation on NADMA has to do it, and NADMA have to tell us everything.
Yeah.
And NADMA would say to you that community preparedness is everybody's business.
Yes.
That we have to be able to take some initiative for ourselves. And the more we can get organized and the more system and structure we could put in place, the easier NADMA's function and more effective it will become.
Concern on what they need to focus
because they
on.
could focus on what they need to focus on.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that drove us to create, you see me wearing the shirt, it says Caribbean Disaster Risk Management Solution.
Yeah.
That's a company that is homegrown, born in Grenada, to be able to give back to Grenada aspect of disaster resilience. And so we're asking people across country, if you know me, you have my number, you have my reach out, you can check us up as well. We have a website. And people can call in and say to me, listen, I want to be part of this movement. We want to be able to help. We want to be able to complement NADMA in its effort across community if something happened. We want to be able to support the government in what exists in terms of reaching people with information, assets, supplies, etc. We need more people to get on board and to support initiatives of people who know, people who understand, and people who have the drive to do it. Everybody don't have the same skill set. Everybody may not be a good mechanic or a good carpenter or otherwise, or good, but you may be able to be a good relief supplier, may be a good manager in a shelter.
People in the community.
Maybe a good mobilizer, community mobilizer on ground.
Yeah.
And that every skill set is required in terms of when you have a crisis. And when you have a disaster, hurricanes, like I was working with the police and so on last couple of days, I have some more, workshops to work with them. And I said to them that disasters and hurricanes, they don't come at rank. So I was speaking to the rank and file, the lower, and they really appreciate that because some believe, well, because you're a senior officer, otherwise it wouldn't affect you.
It wouldn't affect you.
And they figure, okay, because you're the junior officer, then you have. But I said, no, it doesn't have rank in disasters. It will affect everybody, and therefore we need to have collective all-around preparedness. And across country, we are saying Grenada has to get, every man must understand what portion, what his skills, and how he can bring back. And we're saying, organize yourselves, and if there are entities who are organized to be able to deliver that kind of support or that kind of service, lend them your support resources, finance, material, structure. You may be a good IT person, because right now I need people who can help me move that process of organizing and keeping and getting people who have their skill set, generating that skill bank across Grenada. Yeah. What areas are you going to be able to contribute in? What do you have that you can give? If you are a good, if there are fellas outside here, man, they know to trim some trees, clean some drains, put some wheelbarrows and so on. You put them in an office behind, then they can't function. Yeah. But they do have a contribution to make. There are some guys and so on, there are some people, they can't drive under emergency or otherwise. And there are others, you give them a bangalang, a 2x4, a 4x4 piece of thing, they will go to Mach 2 and back.
Yeah.
With it.
Yeah.
So those kind of persons you want. You have people who are nice during regular time. They can walk in the office, they're pretty. And when the wind starts to blow, they're going on the bed and below table and thing.
They can deliver that speech to you and tell you all the things that are good, but then when it comes to the practical approach of it, that's a whole different situation there.
Correct. So I want us for this hurricane season not to get too antsy. God has given me the ability, the skill set, the knowledge, I think, and everything to be able to contribute to that process, and I'm going to do that as long as I could. And I'm building a succession plan and a kind of a transitioning process where I'm able, through our structure, to prepare people, to prepare our country and nations and others better to deal with situations, because we're not going to get away from it. We have to learn to coexist with nature and what nature brings to us. And nature sometimes happens to seem to be very nice and welcoming, and on the other end it seems to be working as we find against us. But for us, when we see the rain and the wind as farmers, the rain, we like it because the excess, the wet dry season that we experience, we love that.
Yes.
But it has its downside for other things. So people, if I am not giving you a full hurricane readiness presentation, the next time around I want to speak to us about some things we need to do during. The before, I hit it last week in terms of getting your surroundings, your buildings, your structure, having your... Remember I spoke about those pigtail buckets and all of that?
Yes.
Get those things ready and stuff. Check your homes. Those are the readiness process before, the information, and set things up. And I'm going to tell you the doing, how you handle the doing, because the doing it itself could be most traumatizing. I remember for Hurricane Ivan, I was there in the middle of the hurricane, and the then Prime Minister called me up and said, Mark, how long we have to go through this thing again? The eye had not passed through. And I said, sir, the eye has not yet gone through. We have a while still to go through with that. To him, I think he was nervous, and that felt like the few minutes that already come, it seemed as though it was there forever. Yeah. And so you need, during those things, to be able to reassure people and to be able to speak to them and say, this is where we are, this is what it's likely to be. And be patient, stay where you are, be safe, ensure that X, Y, and Z is happening. You battle the storm. And when it is over, then we're going to tell you some of the things you need to do in terms of how you're going to prepare the utilities to serve you better in the post-impact session.
You know, I like the idea that you're coming, because folks looking at hurricane preparedness. Some folks would think that there's only to put away, as you said, get the pigtail bucket and put the food away. Yeah. The non-perishables, you could say, but preparedness is more than that.
Of course
it's more than just the eat. Because sometimes after the hurricane, you may not, the final thing on your mind may be trying to eat something.
Yep.
Maybe if eat something might be the final thing. You're thinking about how are you surviving beyond that.
And here, a lot of people now using a piece of plastic in the cards and things, because we're doing virtual spending, right?
Yes.
But after the hurricane and you want to buy something, your cards go swipe?
That's another issue there.
So we have to have some cash.
Technology may not work for you for a week.
Because the man that come out to sell, I heard about bananas spoken about this morning, and I have some ripe ones too. I heard people speaking about the bananas and the price for everything. You're not going on the road sell and give a man just swipe your card to get some bananas after a system. What are you giving him? You need some change.
Folks, that's where they
so it also says to you that likely during systems that your dollar notes will fly away. Save some coins. Get the cash pan as well. Yeah. Put $1 on the 25 and the 10 cents pieces. So after the hurricane, break it and spend your small change. Nothing will happen to it.
Sometimes that's where the jingles know you need it. Huh?
You need the jingles, man.
You need
to buy the small thing.
So I mean, it's important. I mean, the conversation may sound a little bit jokey-fied.
Yeah.
But there's a serious aspect of it.
Always.
There is a serious aspect.
I always put the message the message in the music.
Yeah. There's a serious aspect, because you may thinking, well, I just need to store a little food and a little bit this and put it away and that is important. We're not saying that, but you're thinking about the other things that we may not put in the attention to.
Absolutely.
And there's lots of them we need to put the attention to, because you'll never know when they will have to put into play.
Right. Good. We could take one call today.
Yeah, we could take a call or two.
I saw somebody was trying to get
someone was trying to call a while ago, but the lines are open now. Of course, you could join the conversation. Of course, if you want to chime in, of course you agree on some of the things that we are saying here this morning, and you may want to add something, and feel free to do so. 435-2041.
I don't think we might be able to entertain more than two, I guess.
Yeah, well, depending on
any amount we could take, right?
Yes. Then once they speak in a timely manner, let me see if anyone was chiming in via the WhatsApp. Then we have somebody via WhatsApp as there.
Yes.
Let me see if we could get someone via the WhatsApp. We will entertain that shortly. So once again, Mr. Mark, preparedness on all levels.
Yes.
And of course, we could have gone more into LinkedIn this morning, but we of course the time factor that you got in here this morning, we want to get too deep into it. Let's try this caller. Caller live. Good morning.
Yeah, morning, Richie again, and morning to Mr. McIntyre.
Good day, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
You made me feel so good this morning because you're speaking the language I've been speaking for a long time. Everyone has to be involved, not just some. And as a result of that, we have to create a culture where disaster or changing climate becomes part of the centerpiece of our life.
Yes.
Recently in Barbados, there was a training program, and you might know about it, where the Barbadian brought in some Cubans to share their experience. Because if you're really serious, there's a lot we could learn from people of Cuba.
Right.
How they have dealt. I mean, this thing hit them almost every year.
Cuba is in the Caribbean too, so yeah.
The level of casualty and destruction is minimized as much as possible.
Yes.
And we need to do that. We also need to help our people to understand, from top to bottom, that it can't be business as usual.
You're right.
We are facing a situation where the this would be the coldest year we ever had going forward. Every year will become hotter and hotter. People need to understand that, so we need to do everything to minimize and not just say, well, now we are doing the thing, it's a bigger country. We need to contribute. We need to show by example, lead. I'm very happy. And you talk about people who could contribute. I am one of those, without trying to advance myself. I've had quite a bit of experience and training.
Yes,
but
sir.
who is me? Somebody looking like a devil. Anyway, thank you.
No, I'll get to you. Don't worry.
We'll certainly get to you.
I'll get to you, man.
Mr. McIntyre, of course, we're probably going to get time to take a wrap for this morning.
Of course.
And, you know, it's an important conversation that we all have to have on our
We'll continue it because the hurricanes
if we don't do it every week, but it's at least once within the months we get on this level, continue to inform individuals to prepare themselves.
Yes, of course.
You understand? Prepare themselves. Get their mindset, because it all starts with the mindset. Because if you're not thinking that you have to put food and stuff together, you wouldn't get it done.
Absolutely.
If you're not thinking that you to check your surroundings, check your home, you would not get it done. If you're not thinking, well, that tree there needs to be trimmed a wee bit, it wouldn't be done. You understand? It all starts with the mindset. First and foremost. Anything?
And as you mentioned, tree. I just wanna hear the wrap in terms of what we expect. Our focus is not so much on the tangible readiness or the obvious readiness in terms of just things, but we want to look at people and the impact it can have. The mere fact that we just came out from a very devastating hurricane season, especially for the people of CARICOM, PT, Martinique, the infrastructure was not resilient enough because they did not have the impact we had for Hurricane Ivan and Emily. And so what the devastation that they experienced for over 50 years that they may have not seen is something that is not really easy to come through. And the younger people who wanted to experience a hurricane or otherwise, they saw it and they don't want to see it again. So it is our responsibility to find the informal psychosocial support and not total dependence on the people who are employed in the industry to do it. We have to find the informal way of empowering our younger people in particular to be able to speak to their peers to come through that. And we have to go on being our body's keeper. Again, I maintain the aspect of readiness has to be a homegrown thing. People have to make it their own business to care for their family and less dependence on the national resource. We have to be able to find ways of generating the information and taking our action relevant to preventing loss of life, destruction of property, and degradation of our environment.
Mr. McIntyre, I want to thank you once again. Sometimes, the situation today was not in the way it should have been, but we still get a lot of information in. Thank you so much.
I had to spare the moment to leave where I was to get through, make sure I got to it.
I want to thank you once again. I want to thank all listeners and viewers, all who contributed some way. You sat at home and you listened, and of course you understand the direction of where you're going this morning, and you're willing to get your mind focused in the direction that it has to be at, just in case. Just in case. Thank you once again, folks. Join us again for another edition of To The Point. That's what we say goodbye.